Hello students, I'm Mr. Parmenter and I am so happy to be here with you as we read and learn together. Today you're definitely going to need something to write with to capture the things that we'll be learning about. I'll give you a moment to go grab a paper and a pencil, and I'll be waiting right here for you. Welcome back. So what is something you find challenging about reading? Can you think about that for a minute and then write it on your paper when you figure it out? I bet some of you wrote down the same thing that I was thinking, and that is when I'm reading and I come across words I don't know, sometimes it makes it hard for me to understand the text. That is a totally normal part of reading that everyone deals with, even expert readers like your teachers. If you've been with us the last few lessons, you know that we've read some informational texts that explain homelessness in the United States. Today we're going to revisit the topic of homelessness in nonfiction text, but first we're going to talk about 4 strategies that you can use when you run into that problem we talked about a minute ago, when you get stuck on a word that you don't know. These strategies are going to help you to get yourself unstuck so that you can understand the meaning of those new words, and that way understand the text that you are reading. Sound good? Okay, let's get started. I'm going to ask you to make some notes on your paper as I talk about these 4 strategies so that you can keep track and you'll have a place to practice when it's your turn. The first 3 are all about context clues, which means you can figure out the word meanings by looking at the other ones around them. Strategy number 1 is called definition in text. Go ahead and write that down. Definition in text is when the author actually tells you what the hard word means right in the sentence. But here's the thing, if you don't read carefully, it can be easy to miss. Here's an example of how that one looks. The scientists carefully removed the fossil of a belemnite, an extinct sea creature similar to the modern-day squid. The challenging word in this sentence is belemnite. Have you ever heard of that before? I sure haven't. But look at what we have right after it. We have a comma, and then the author actually provides us with the definition of the word, which says that it's an extinct sea creature similar to the modern-day squid. That's our first strategy, looking for a definition in the text, and it's sometimes found right after the challenging word. Okay, now we're ready for strategy number 2. Go ahead and write strategy number 2 on your paper and then write example. Strategy number 2 is when we have a difficult word, but if we look carefully at the other words around it in the sentence, we can find examples that can help us to guess at what that word means. Take a look for yourself. Celestial bodies such as the sun, moon, and stars have amazed humans for centuries. Okay, where's our problem word? Can you read it to me? For me, it would be the 2 words at the beginning right there, celestial bodies. What clues do we see in the text? Remember, this one is called examples, and if we look hard, we see the phrase, such as the sun, moon, and stars, which tells us those are examples of celestial bodies. What do those 3 things all have in common? Where are they? That's right, they're objects located in the sky or in space. And that's exactly what celestial bodies means. Time for strategy number 3. This one is called synonym. Write that next on your paper. You remember learning what a synonym is in your English class? Tell me what that means. Yes, synonyms are words that have the same meaning. Here's how this one looks. Cindy said, "Let's eat. I'm starving." She was famished because she hadn't eaten all day. Which word's the tough one here? Can you find it? I think I spotted it right in the middle there. Famished. If we think carefully about what Cindy said, though, we can probably figure it out because she said, "I'm starving," which we know means that she is very hungry. You all told me that synonyms are words that have the same meaning. And in this case, famished and starving both mean very hungry. Okay, it's time for our final strategy of the day. This last one can be really helpful, but it takes a little work. Add to your paper strategy number 4, word parts. How do you think this one works? Sometimes when we come across a word we don't know in a text, we can break it down into parts that are familiar, that will help us to make a good guess about the meaning. You may read a weather report that looks something like this. We'll be seeing sub-zero temperatures next week. If you haven't seen that word sub-zero before, it might be confusing for you, but let's break it into parts and see what we notice. Can you tell me where you would break it? That's correct, right after the B. What other words do you know that start with sub? Say them out loud for me. Anyone think of subway? What about submarine? What do those words have in common? They both have to do with the idea of under. And guess what sub-zero temperatures are? They are temperatures under zero. Looking for ways to break up a word into parts that you recognize can really help you to deal with this problem of unfamiliar words. Now it's your turn. Get your paper ready. I am going to give you some sentences from our informational texts about homelessness and ask you to try out each strategy on your own. Let's start with strategy number 1, definition in text. Here's your sentence. Many people who are homeless have lost their home because of not having enough income or money they earn or receive to afford a place to live. Let's focus on the word income, which is the key word in this sentence. Can you find the definition in text and write it on your paper? There it is, right after the comma. Income means money they earn or receive. Let's move on to strategy number 2, examples. Ready? Here's the sentence from our text. Sometimes disabilities such as certain types of mental health challenges can lead to homelessness. The word we're trying to figure out here is disabilities. Take a look at what happens after it and see if you can figure out what it means from the example. Can you write a definition for disabilities on your paper? The text gave an example of mental health challenges as a disability. That helps us understand that a disability is a physical or mental condition that limits what a person can do. Time to practice strategy number 3, synonym. Remember, this one means words that have the same meaning. Here's the text. In the short term, providing a temporary place to stay so that people are able to get out of the cold, eat meals, and have access to a clean space with water is very important. Let's focus on the word temporary and see if we can figure out the meaning. There's a synonym here. See if you can find it and figure out the meaning of temporary. When you do, write it down. Great job. The synonym is short term, which tells us that temporary means for a short time and not forever. Last, we have strategy number 4. Grab that pencil. Here's our sentence. The most important thing our government can do is to help make sure that housing is affordable. The word affordable can be a hard one. Let's take a closer look at it. If we break that word into 2 parts, it says afford able. On your paper, write down what you think that word means. Excellent. Does your answer look like this? Affordable means able to pay for. Great job practicing these vocabulary strategies. Today we learned 4 strategies to help when you come across a word that you don't know in the text. Definition in text, example, synonym, and word parts. Keep the notes you wrote down close by when you're reading, and these strategies will help you with those challenging words. Thank you so much for learning with me today. I hope you'll continue with your desire to keep growing as a reader. It's going to take you a long way in your life.